30 days may not seem like a long time, but it can be enough time to completely change the direction of your life. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to improve themselves. They wait for more motivation, more confidence, or better circumstances. The truth is that meaningful change begins the moment you decide to take responsibility for your growth. This audiobook is the story of what I learned during a 30-day self-improvement journey. It was not about becoming perfect or transforming overnight. Instead, it was about making small, consistent improvements each day and discovering how powerful those changes could become over time. During these 30 days, I focused on developing better habits, improving my mindset, strengthening my discipline, taking care of my health, and becoming more intentional with my time. Some lessons were encouraging, while others were uncomfortable. I faced challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, yet those experiences became some of the most valuable parts of the journey. One of the biggest discoveries was that self-improvement is not a destination. It is a lifelong process. Every day presents an opportunity to learn, grow, and become a little better than you were yesterday. The goal is not perfection but progress. Whether you are just beginning your self-improvement journey or looking for motivation to continue, I hope the lessons in this audiobook inspire you to take action. Your life can change in ways you may not expect, and sometimes all it takes is a commitment to start. The decision to change. Every meaningful transformation begins with a decision. Before habits improve, goals are achieved, or lives are changed, there is always a moment when someone decides they no longer want to remain the same. My journey of self-improvement began with that simple realization. I wasn't unhappy with my life, but I knew I wasn't living up to my potential. Like many people, I had dreams, ambitions, and plans for the future. I wanted to become more disciplined, more productive, healthier, and more focused. Yet despite those desires, my daily actions were not reflecting the life I wanted to create. I spent too much time procrastinating, making excuses, and postponing important changes. Every week I told myself I would start tomorrow. Tomorrow I would wake up earlier. Tomorrow I would begin exercising consistently. Tomorrow I would spend less time on distractions and more time working toward my goals. The problem was that tomorrow kept moving further away. Days became weeks, and weeks became months. Eventually, I realized that nothing changes until you make a firm decision to change. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for the perfect moment. They believe they need more motivation, more confidence, or better circumstances before they can begin improving their lives. The truth is that there will never be a perfect time. Life will always present challenges, distractions, and obstacles. If you wait until everything is ideal, you may spend years standing still. Successful people understand something that many others do not. Action comes before confidence. They do not wait until they feel ready. They begin, and through the process of taking action, they become ready. This lesson changed the way I viewed personal growth. Instead of focusing on finding the perfect moment, I focused on taking the first step. The first thing I had to do was become honest with myself. Honest self-reflection is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the truth. It requires you to stop blaming circumstances and start examining your own choices. During this process, I realized that many of the obstacles in my life were self-created. I was spending too much time on activities that provided temporary entertainment but little long-term value. I was avoiding difficult tasks because they required effort and discipline. I was making excuses that sounded reasonable but were ultimately preventing progress. This realization was difficult to accept, but it was also empowering. If my actions had contributed to my problems, then changing my actions could improve my situation. Another important lesson I learned was the value of personal responsibility. Many people view responsibility as a burden, but I discovered that it is actually a source of freedom. The moment you stop blaming everyone and everything around you, you regain control over your future. Instead of focusing on what you cannot change, you begin focusing on what you can. This shift in mindset is powerful because it turns you from a victim of circumstances into the architect of your own life. Responsibility does not mean pretending challenges do not exist. It means refusing to let those challenges determine your future. As the challenge began, I quickly realized that meaningful change happens much slower than most people expect. We live in a culture that celebrates instant results. Social media often makes success appear fast and effortless. Because of this, many people become discouraged when they do not see immediate progress. I felt that frustration myself. After several days of working on better habits, I wanted visible proof that my life was improving. But real growth is rarely dramatic in the beginning. A single workout does not transform your body. Reading for one day does not make you an expert. Saving money for a week does not create wealth. Lasting results are built through small actions repeated consistently over time. Once I understood this principle, my focus shifted. Instead of looking for dramatic changes, I started looking for daily improvements. I committed to waking up earlier, reading regularly, exercising consistently, and reducing unnecessary distractions. These habits were not life-changing on their own, but together they created momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in self-improvement. When you begin making progress, even small progress, it becomes easier to continue. Each positive action builds confidence and encourages the next one. Over time, those small victories accumulate into significant results. One challenge I faced throughout the journey was overcoming fear. Many people believe they are held back by a lack of talent, resources, or opportunities. While those factors can create challenges, fear is often the real obstacle. Fear of failure keeps people from trying. Fear of rejection prevents them from pursuing opportunities. Fear of criticism causes them to hide their ambitions. I realized that many of my excuses were actually fear in disguise. I told myself I needed more preparation when what I really needed was courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. Every worthwhile goal involves uncertainty. There are no guarantees of success. The only guarantee is that if you never begin, nothing will change. Perhaps the most valuable lesson of the first 30 days was learning to trust myself. Every time I followed through on a commitment, I strengthened my confidence. Every workout completed, every chapter read, and every productive day became evidence that I was capable of change. Many people think confidence comes before action, but I learned that confidence is built through action. It grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. The more consistently you follow through, the more you begin to see yourself as someone who is disciplined, reliable, and capable. As the days passed, I also realized that self-improvement is about more than achieving goals. Goals are important, but they are not the ultimate purpose of growth. The deeper purpose is becoming a better version of yourself. Instead of asking what I wanted to achieve, I began asking who I wanted to become. Did I want to become someone who constantly made excuses or someone who took responsibility? Did I want to become someone who talked about success or someone who worked for it? These questions helped shift my focus from temporary outcomes to lasting personal development. Looking back, the most important part of this journey was not the habits I built or the tasks I completed. It was the decision that started everything. A single decision may seem small, but it has the power to change the direction of your life. Just as a ship can reach an entirely different destination by making a small adjustment to its course, a person can transform their future by making small, consistent improvements every day. The lesson from this chapter is simple. Your life begins to change the moment you decide to change. You do not need perfect circumstances, extraordinary talent, or complete certainty. You simply need the courage to take the first step. That step may seem insignificant today, but it could become the beginning of a completely different future. Chapter 2. Taking responsibility for my life. One of the most powerful lessons I learned during my 30-day self-improvement journey was that change begins with responsibility. Before this challenge, it was easy to blame external factors for my lack of progress. I blamed limited opportunities, lack of time, difficult circumstances, and even other people. While some of those challenges were real, I eventually realized that constantly focusing on them was preventing me from moving forward. The more I blamed things outside my control, the less responsibility I took for the things I could control. That mindset kept me stuck. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong in life. There are situations that are genuinely unfair. There are obstacles that appear without warning and challenges that no one can completely avoid. However, responsibility means accepting that regardless of what happens, you still have control over your response. You may not control every circumstance, but you can control your attitude, your actions, and your decisions. This realization changed the way I viewed my life. As I reflected on where I was, I began to notice a pattern. Whenever I failed to achieve something, I often had a ready-made excuse. If I didn't complete an important task, I told myself I was too busy. If I failed to work toward a goal, I convinced myself that the timing wasn't right. If I delayed making a positive change, I blamed a lack of motivation. These excuses felt reasonable at the time, but they were quietly preventing growth. The uncomfortable truth was that many of the things I wanted to improve were within my control. One of the first things I did during the challenge was stop making excuses, instead of focusing on. Chapter 3. Building a better morning routine. One of the most noticeable changes during my 30-day self-improvement journey came from something surprisingly simple: improving my morning routine. Before starting the challenge, my mornings often felt rushed and unproductive. I would wake up just in time to handle the day's responsibilities, immediately check my phone, and react to whatever demands appeared first. By the time I fully woke up, I already felt behind. I realized that if I wanted to improve my life, I needed to stop starting my days by accident and start beginning them with intention. The first lesson I learned was that how you start your morning often influences the rest of your day. A rushed and chaotic morning usually leads to a rushed and chaotic day. On the other hand, a calm and productive morning creates momentum that can carry you through the hours ahead. I decided to wake up earlier than usual, not because successful people always wake up at a specific time, but because I wanted time to focus on myself before the world began demanding my attention. Those extra minutes gave me space to think, plan, and prepare mentally for the day. Another important change was avoiding my phone immediately after waking up. Like many people, I had developed the habit of checking notifications, messages, and social media before even getting out of bed. This simple habit was giving other people control over my attention before I had a chance to focus on my own priorities. During the challenge, I replaced that habit with more productive activities such as reading, reflecting on my goals, and planning the day ahead. The difference was remarkable. Instead of feeling distracted and reactive, I felt more focused and in control. I also learned the value of consistency. A morning routine does not have to be complicated to be effective. It simply needs to support your goals and be repeated regularly. Some mornings were better than others, but I discovered that consistency mattered more than perfection. Even on difficult days, following a simple routine helped me maintain discipline and structure. By the end of the 30 days, I realized that a good morning routine is not really about waking up early. It is about creating a strong foundation for the rest of the day. The habits you practice in the morning can influence your mindset, productivity, and overall well-being. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that success often begins long before major achievements occur. It starts with small daily habits repeated consistently. For me, building a better morning routine became one of those habits, and it showed me that changing your life often